morning. Today we're going to make a collage. And what we're going to do, I'm going to give you each 2 random sheets of paper out of this magazine. And I want you to look at the information and the pictures on these 2 pages and to put together one picture that's witty, humorous, funny, dreamlike, and imaginative. So be as unusual and as strange as you can be. Some of you might not get too much on your 2 sheets, but try your best. This is kind of a risky thing to do. Hey, Milt! What are you doing, Milt? What are you doing here?
Just thought I'd come and visit you for a while.
Oh, really? Well, good to see you.
Got a class going on.
Yeah, why don't you join us?
Okay.
We're going to do a collage out of these 2 pieces of paper. Why don't you sit over here and just...
Out of these 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those 2. Right. Good to see you. Okay, so why don't you look at your 2 pages and see what you can do with it. And get a razor blade and cut out the images, and then you can glue them on that 1 piece of paper. Okay, just go ahead and see what you can do. This is a high-risk thing to do, but this is where the ideas come from, and this is a good way of getting new ideas. I'm forcing you to find something on 2 random pieces of paper.
It's a good class, Marx.
Oh, thank you.
So what's new?
Well, I got some new things I want to share with you. Some things I've been working on lately. You have to hit them together. Oh, yeah. Bend over. Ooh. Isn't it? Watch this. I want to show you these outside. Why don't you read them? Show you these sound sticks. They're actually like a xylophone, but instead of hitting the xylophone, you take these keys and you throw them. It's like throwing a xylophone.
You're going to throw a xylophone?
Throw a xylophone. And you throw these keys out there. How do you do this? Oh, that was close!
To see things, I like to be things, I like to make things new. I like to hear things, I like to shape things, I like to share with you. A new way to be in this world, where things can be not what they seem. A new way to live my life each day. Reach out to touch life, reach out to see life, reach out to make things new. Reach out to someone, reach out to have fun,
know, this kitchen just really brings back a lot of memories.
Well, it does.
When I was here as a student, we used to come over and use your studio sometimes and just take a break and come here in the kitchen. We'd look around at some of the objects that are here, and I was always surprised at the things that you'd say about them.
Just like that mountain of ice, ready to be climbed.
Yeah, and it's just a bread wrapper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's things like that that really used to get me thinking.
Well, that's what teaching is about, to get people to think.
Well, that's true. You know, you used to say, don't ask what this really is. Ask what it could be. Now, what could this cup be? Or what could it become?
Well, we really don't teach what we know. We really teach who we are and what we are.
Well, that's true, and I suppose that's one of the reasons why I have to come back every now and then, just to kind of touch base and talk with you and look around and kind of get my batteries recharged.
Teaching and learning is very much like taking a time-release cold capsule. You get a burst of energy, and then you need to get short bursts after that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a firecracker going off or something. I know. You know, another thing that you taught me was that some of the things that we see, we just see for a moment.
God is a flasher.
Yeah, he is.
Like, here's a little pamphlet with some photographs of these handles right over here.
Oh,
these very
sure.
handles. They're just ordinary handles. And you can see that none of the photographs are alike. They're all different. And they were taken at different times of the day and different times of the year. And the key here is light. Light changes the way a thing looks. And that's why we have to look at simple objects every day to see how they are right now.
This one looks like a Mondrian painting.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow. What else we got here? Oh, look at these.
I had breakfast one morning.
That's right here, huh?
Yeah, that's right. This looks like a posed picture, but really it was something I saw for breakfast, and I looked down, it was a saucer and a cup of coffee. But if you look very carefully, you notice it's a big circle and a little circle and a yellow and an orange. And those shapes of those shadows are very interesting, and they're different. So I was noticing something about this breakfast.
You know, those shapes there, they're like the hills just outside of town
That's
here.
right, yeah.
This could be a landscape.
Well, sure.
We could make a painting out of something like this, or a sculpture or a print.
That's what photographs are. They stop time, and they use shapes and colors and make an interesting composition.
Look at these buckets.
Those are really funny. I went to work one morning through the back porch, and I noticed those smiling buckets hanging back there. And I took the picture, and a few minutes later, my young son, Carl, came running out. He said, "Daddy, I want to show you something." And he was telling me about the smiling buckets. And so children see the world in a very childlike way, and in a fresh way, and artists see the world the way children do. And so we have a lot in common.
I think that's my problem. I never really grew up.
Well, that's okay.
You know, when I was a kid, I used to take the blankets on my bed and kind of make a big mountain out of them.
You did?
Yeah, and I'd have roads going back and forth, take little trucks and cars and play in there and just imagine all kinds of things.
It's exciting to realize that simple, ordinary places can be extraordinary. Life is full of magic.
It sure is.
Well, I have a friend who's a drummer, and recently he took the metal off of his snare drum set, and he replaced it with some new metal. And he brought the old metal to my house. He thought possibly I could use it. So I sat around the studio for about a year, and one day I cleaned the studio and I threw the stuff in a garbage can. 10 minutes later, I went through the garbage can, got the stuff out, because I thought maybe there was a possibility. So I cut the metal in squares, then I took my welding torch and I heated the metal, and I produced all these very interesting kind of colors. And I assembled the pieces for these two compositions. This is called water reflections, and this is called sky. And they give up a lot of light. The funny thing is, they can only be seen here in a garage. There's something about the tunnel of light coming in from the front. And I have a friend who's a banker, and he wanted to buy this piece. So he took it to his house and put it over his fireplace so they could live with it for a week. And funny thing, in his house, no matter what kind of lighting they put on it, it just washed out. It was nothing but old metal. So these things can only be seen. He never did buy it. Came back in the garage. These can only be seen when I drive my car into the garage and if people drive by in the street. I just really love them.
People went into the crafts, you know, that really came from here. All this stuff here, you know. People from town must really bring you stuff all the time, you know.
Well, a lot of
go
it
on
I
your
picked up
wall.
myself, but people do bring me things, and I use a lot of discarded materials in my artwork. A lot of this stuff will eventually find its way in some art form.
Well, I did too. You know,
Oh, you
I
do.
do. It's the same way. Recently, I did a job for the Huntel Telephone Company in Blair. Did a mural for them,
Oh.
and they'd build a new building, kind of a reception area to pay your bills and kind of front office area.
Yeah.
So we did this mural that depicted all the different types of people that work for them and all the different materials that they use in the telephone industry. So the foreman and I went through the warehouse and collected all these different found objects and filled up 3 truckloads full of stuff.
Really?
And I brought it back to my studio and laid it all out. And the owner of the place said that I cannibalized all his stuff. I took it all apart so that I could find all the rectangular pieces and all the circular pieces and find the commonalities of shapes between all these different materials, no matter what they were for.
Yeah.
And then I started to put it together like an aesthetic puzzle, you know, fitting things together. And it was 12 by 18 feet.
That's huge.
Well, my studio's not that big.
Yeah.
You know, so I had to do it in sections, and I had a drawing going, kind of keeping track of where I was. But the first time that I really got to see it was after it was all finished. And I took it out on the neighbor's driveway. His house is taller than mine. And I laid it all out on the driveway, and then I climbed up on the roof and looked down at it. And it was
funny.
So that's what it looks like.
I know what you're talking about, because some years ago when I got a commission to do a mural in the Nebraska State Capitol, that was huge too, 18 by 13 feet, just like yours.
Yeah.
And I had to build a place to build that, and so I built the studio just for those mosaics. And this building is the same size as a mural. And it's really changed a lot since we built it. There was nothing in this building except the space.
You sure filled it up since then.
I know it's full of stuff. So I reduced that 18 by 13 foot area into 50 smaller puzzle-like pieces. And on those pieces of plywood, I glued smaller pieces, like small pieces of glass, like this. And I used ceramic and metal and wood. I had the same problem you did. I couldn't see it from a distance, and so I had to get way up there on a ladder and back of those boards so I could look down and see what it looks like from a distance. And then when it was finished, I took those 50 pieces, put them in a truck and hauled them to Lincoln, Nebraska, and we screwed them onto the Capitol wall with about 400 screws or so.
Reinhold Marxhausen is an artist who creates not only for the eye, but the ear. He'll make an instrument out of almost